Apologies, everybody, if you were on earlier and you're back again. Oh, you like my hair colour? Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'd love to do something like that with mine.
You should do it.
I know, but then I'll need to strip it all back, won't I? Well, I not need to go like bleach it first for it to
Yeah. I always say to people, try. Well, you could put highlights in. I mean, these are, you can see my roots, but I do it with highlights, not block bleach.
Yeah.
You get like the different kind of colours in it as well. But even if you just did the tips and did the ends, you could have like a balayage through.
Well, that's what I wanted to do. It's just obviously trying to find a hairdresser that can fit me in and do it. They're all booked up. So
yeah. For like months.
I don't fancy doing it myself. I think I'd just make a mess.
I'll do it.
All right. I wouldn't actually mind a drive out right now. So yeah. Brilliant. Oh, thank you, Katie. You look amazing.
Oh.
I don't feel it. I've actually been crying this morning.
Oh no! Why?
No, in a good way. In a good way. I've had because the end of my 90-day challenge with some of my ladies, my transformation challenge, and it's not obviously just aesthetics. It's mindset. It's life. And it's just been really quite moving. So it's been really lovely just to see like everybody's results coming through and just how much people have changed and benefited from it. And obviously not just from the aesthetic standpoint, but from, you know, from a health standpoint, which obviously ties in nicely to today. So yeah, no, it's been lovely so far.
It's amazing, isn't it? When you, and particularly like I get emotion when, you know, I get feedback from people, or yeah, just these like, here's where I was and this is where I am now, and like, and you're just like, wow.
It just makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? You know, that fulfilling moment of everything that you do and the hours you put in, knowing that it's, you know, really helping people. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Brunch Live. And today the topic is health, which is a really broad topic. I was like, should it be health and well-being or mental health or physical health? And we're just going to literally pack it all in. And personally, I feel that, well, I know, you know, mental health and physical health are closely related. You can't be physically healthy without being mentally healthy, you know, and kind of vice versa, really. So the two go hand in hand. And yeah, I mean, I see there's a lot of kind of health stuff in what I do. But Sam, you particularly, especially with your in corporate and stuff as well, you're full on health, aren't you?
Yeah. I think, so top and bottom of it is for me with this is that any of you that are watching that do have coaches is that there is a very fine line between, and I've seen this firsthand a couple of times with some of my friends that have moved from coaches to coach, but for very good reasons. And just because you see these transformation pictures on people's Instagrams does not mean they got there healthily. And this is so important. It gets me angry when you see these pictures being put up, but you do not know the story of how they got there. And so often there is so much that goes on behind the scenes with these transformation pictures that is hugely detrimental to health, that is people slogging away their asses in the gym, they are eating sweet fuck all food wise, and they're in a really bad place with food and their emotions towards food. Then, you know, fundamentally when they have enough, when they physically cannot keep that going, they completely then fall off the wagon, and it's full on reversal of their life crumbles because they cannot stick to this any longer because it's so unsustainable for the long term. And then other things will happen on that. So binge eating will start to kick in, emotional eating will start to kick in, depression, anxiety, just very low mood, very low self-esteem. There's so many more things that tie into it. And that's where I'm very forward with my ladies, that I don't always expect, when someone comes to me, I do not expect them to have an instant transformation. The fact that I have with some of these ladies that I've worked for the last 3 months is it's been a byproduct of sorting other shit out that they've got going on. But I don't work with people for primarily aesthetic transformations, because I don't think that should be the focus for many people. I think that they need to start addressing what's going on in here and then the rest will kind of like take effect in itself. Really, you'll get to that point. But if you try to force an aesthetic transformation from being in a place where you're not physically and mentally ready for that, then what's the point? You're just running yourself more into the ground.
I'm nodding in agreement and like, yeah, smiling and listening and yeah, everything she said, everything Sam said, and just wanted to raise a point as well, because you brought up, you know, what you're looking at, the transformations on social media, and again, you know, we are looking at, we're not looking at the full story, we're not looking at the big picture, we're just looking, and I know you've shared recently, and you do regularly actually, you know, of you know, two images where you look great in both, but one's, you know, you were not in a healthy place, you know, not sound kind of mentally getting there, and the other one, you know, that you were, and there's a big difference, but you'd never know looking at an image, and this is the thing with social media, we don't see the full story, and we jump to conclusions, and we make assumptions, and we also, you know, chase after, you know, stuff that, yeah, we haven't got the facts straight, and I always say to people, you know, it's great for inspiration following like fitness people, but you know, these people do this for a living. This is their life, you know, this is all that they do, and so, you know, it is easy for them because they're not in an office, they don't have other things kind of going on, or, you know, stresses at home, so they're able to apply themselves fully, and it works for them. And it's got to be individual. You've got to do what works for you, but be aware or be mindful of all the other stuff that you've got going on, because yeah, we can't do it all. So something's got to give.
And the important thing to remember is that these people that do it for a living, they are generally, on the whole, they are assisted. So they are not natural. They are taking gear, they are taking other drugs. They have, generally, for most of them, they will have disordered eating to some extent. There will be eating disorders involved. They just won't, either they'll be in denial, or obviously they're not going to be able to freely admit that, because then that's going to affect their livelihood. So why would they? And I think that's why, it's, you know, when you see these people that are year-round lean, and you just think, like, it just portrays such a bad message to the market, because other people then aspire to try and do that all year round, and it's physically not possible unless you're genetically gifted, which, you know, the percentage of chances are that you're not. You know, you've got to be like a superhuman freak to be able to sustain that all year round, or, you know, be taking something assisted wise to be able to do it. And are you actually willing to do that for your health for the long term, and be on stuff that gear that you can't always guarantee what's in it, where it's from, how it's going to actually affect your body? You know, the number of bodybuilders that have had, young bodybuilders that have had like heart attacks or any kind of health problem in the last few years that have died, like, come on, just ding, 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 ding. Something's got to start ringing true, that we need to stop being stupid about all this and start actually being mindful around health and what health actually really is as a definition. Because it's not being lean with abs. That is not health.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking very much on kind of body image here, but I think it's important, because this is what starts, you know, it's, oh, I see that and I want that, as opposed to, you know, the other stuff. And I guess we'll come into a bit more kind of all-rounded health in a moment, but I think the first and foremost is being realistic. And you're right, genetics obviously play a massive part.
Yeah, what did you do? I was like, uh-oh.
Sorry, my Ring doorbell is flashing across to my screen, and I went to get rid of it. Where was I? Be realistic. Yeah, genetics playing a big part. And I always say, you know, I encourage everybody to play to their strengths, you know, not try to build up their weaknesses, and the way you are built is, you know, that's kind of your strength. And I'm not a stick insect. I can drop my food, I can go running like a maniac, and, you know, do all of that and try and be skinny, but that's kind of not the way I'm built, and I will have a much easier time building muscle, because I'm lucky that I just do build muscle easily,
Yeah.
but not everybody does,
Mhm.
you know, and that might be going a different, you know, different way for them. But, you know, we're built in a certain way, and I think we should be working towards that, working in the zone, and for the things that we're kind of built for naturally.
Yeah, I think it's accepting that as well, I guess, is that so many people, and I've been there where I wouldn't accept it. I would try to starve myself to get into, you know, being a size 6 to 8. And that just, it wasn't, you know, I think I've managed to get there at some points during prep when I've been competing. But again, that's disordered eating. It's not true life. So, you know, for me to get there naturally, it's just never going to happen. So to actually finally start embracing and loving myself in the fact that, yes, I am built bigger and I do put on muscle easy and I do also gain fat easy. But that's just something that I need to come to terms with and find a level of consistency for me that works. So, you know, I'm not being unrealistic with any of it. I know that if I want to drop weight, then I DNA wise, my DNA has shown that yo-yo dieting for me is detrimental to my health. I have to do it in a very slow, steady way. I cannot just do, you know, an instantaneous, let's drop 500 calories this week and let's just see how your body responds, because mine won't. It'll just say no. So I think just the more information that you can actually get and know about yourself and start to really learn about yourself, it just stands you in a better stead to start being more appreciative of your capabilities and not trying to fit into, you know, the health societal norm of, you know, this lean size 8 to 10 skinniness thing that's, you know, constantly still bombarding us really. You know, all these fitness people that you see on social media, they always put their better pictures on. I actually had some pictures done yesterday of me just as I am now, which I am going to start sharing as well, because that is just me and how I look in the gym. You know, I'm not lean. I have not chubby arms. I'm not going to say chubby, but the off-season strong arms. So, yeah, I'm not as lean as I usually would be in photo shoots. But actually yesterday I was like, fuck it, I'm embracing it, because this is what the people actually will resonate more with, because this is real life. I don't walk around with abs all the time.
And I think that's really important as well for acceptance, you know, celebrating yourself as you are at different stages. It's a bit like keeping skinny, you got your skinny wardrobe or your clothes, like, oh, I'll fit into them at some point. Like mentally, that's not a good thing to do. And it's the same with, oh, I'm going to cover myself up until that point,
until
until I lose weight, until this, until that. And that's just an enormous amount of stress and unhappiness that you're causing yourself by, you know, constantly waiting for the next thing. And that, you know, that's true of all life, isn't it? You know, constantly on to the next thing. You can never fully relax. You can never accept what is and fully celebrate yourself and your achievements, or, you know, where you are at in life. In that moment. So I think it's really important when it comes to, you know, body. We've gone right onto body image now, I think.
I think
it's really important to
thing, isn't it, for a lot of people? It's the thing that people resonate most with, having their self-worth so fixed to their you know, to their aesthetic.
Yeah, no, you're right. So winding it back over to sort of overall, I mean, because it all goes hand in hand, doesn't it? But for me, and I'm sure this is pretty much for everybody, when my mind isn't in check, then I don't feel like working out. Then I don't feel like eating properly. I get into self-sabotaging behaviors, and it's kind of this ripple effect as well. And I always talk about healthy habits, because our lives are made up of habits, really. I feel like the habits are the glue that holds our life together, and it can be held together by negative habits, or it can be held by positive habits. And that is the difference, I think, in, you know, being healthy. And things like food prep is a habit in itself, you know, getting ample sleep, drinking enough water, and making that easy to do is something that will improve your health in the long term. And as you go, and won't be, you know, you don't think twice about brushing your teeth. So it becomes the same thing with food, with sleep, with water, as I said, and just sustaining you. But also on there's something on an identity level as well. If you identify as a healthy person or an unhealthy person, and I think that also is rooted in beliefs of what people have said to you in the past as well. So there's kind of all this other stuff at play that I think is worth kind of checking into, which is why, again, we go back to promoting writing down things or journaling to kind of unsort of tangle that, because I guess I've been really fortunate with my health. I have put my body through shit, like serious shit. And you know, back in the day when I was awake for like 3 days on a bender, like awake, not sleeping, putting horrible chemical substances and everything into my body. Like it's amazing how, you know, how resilient our bodies are.
Yeah.
And they are. And I think there's a lot in the belief as well, believing that we are strong and truly believing that, not just chanting affirmations that I'm strong and I'm well and I'm fit, like really believing that you are. I think your body, you know, your body will support you, and it's capable of amazing things, which is why I'm not a personal trainer, I'm not a fitness instructor, I don't want to be one, but I'm constantly pushing my body in that department because it strengthens my mind. And it's also strengthening my body and pushing it to grow and to evolve, just like any animal does or a plant does. You know, it grows bigger, it gets stronger, it gets taller.
Yeah, and I think in terms of, you know, on the training front, it's like, you know, we do sometimes focus too much on the physical training of our bodies rather than the mental training of our bodies. And I think it's only in the last few years that people have actually started to acknowledge the fact that we need to do more mental training to make actually the two be congruent together, so that they actually align together with mind and body. You know, we can have a great body, but inside you could still be absolutely, you know, in bits and in hatred towards it, because you've not dealt with something, like I said, like other beliefs that have formed in the past that then dictate your emotional state and your behaviors towards and your actions that you take. So, you know, when people start to fully check in on really what's going on inside, it's, you know, you can then start to unpick, right, you know, when you're saying that I am strong, you know, what can you find in your life that supports that? And then when you look at the negative things about you that you perhaps don't like, is think of what can contradict that. How can you twist that 180 and reframe it to actually be more of a positive thing? And really, are you just filtering for the negative constantly to support that negative self-belief or that negative limiting belief that you have? You know, so often we're just, you know, it's a mindset bias of negativity in our filtering process to only see, you know, people that go through depression. It's very much, you are very negatively filtering for all the bad in the world when you're in that state. And yeah, there's obviously other compounding factors with things like depression as well. But, you know, to kind of start getting yourself into a good mental check, and like I say, you know, definitely tools of doing more journaling around that for sure does help, you know, starting to bring. So I actually did and created the Lift Life log, because it's not just about training and logging your lifts. It's about, right, what's going on with me today? How am I feeling in the morning when I'm waking up? How well have I done in terms of the priorities of my food today, my water, my sleep? You know, how I feel pre and post training, seeing that difference of how that's actually physically changing my emotions and my physical state, my emotive state. And then looking and reflecting back on that day, right, what can I actually do better to be better tomorrow? You know, to have something that does start to tie in that all elements of people, but without it being that daunting task of, oh, journaling, what do I do? What do I say? What do I write? So that's kind of why that came about, was for something that would be so prompt and quick for people to actually have everything just in one place. And it's, you know, I mean, I've had a couple of messages this week of people that have said, you know, thank you for that book, because it's just helped me start to get back into this, you know, joining the two together, the mind-body connection again.
Yeah. And these little prompts, because we don't automatically do it. So, you know, if you have a habit or it's part of your routine to do a bit of journaling in the morning or the evening, whatever you want, you know, it prompts you to think of these things that you wouldn't normally do unless you make time for it. And you know, tracking again is another massive one. And you've just reminded me that I was cleaning up my desktop and my laptop, and I found this file only from, I can't remember when I did the interview with Dr. Rob Kelly on the podcast. So it must, I think it was like summertime, and it was a video. I don't usually use a video in my podcast interviews, and oh my god, the state of me, like sitting there, like literally just only because it was just a bit crazy, kind of last spring and summer, and just terms of, you know, just looking at my skin, like my eyes sort of being half shut, and just comparing myself to now. Obviously I'm on a bit of a health kick, and I've, you know, cleaned up my diet and training regularly, and it's like it's miles apart. I'm like, whoa, who is that? Like, it looks, you know, I don't look well. I don't look well. You know, there was a lot going on last year, so that's, you know, that's fine, but it just shows me, and that really kind of strengthened in my head. I was like, wow, like there's a really big difference here. There's the way I'm living right now and the way I was living back then. You know, I don't want to go back to that. That doesn't look good. I clearly don't, you know, I look like I'm struggling. Even though at the time I felt, you know, fine. I was very much enjoying the interview.
You don't know any different at that point though, right? So it's like you just remain complacent until that point when, right, the pain is so strong that you need to obviously then implement change.
That's it. And so, you know, when we are documenting our health and just our lives in general through writing, through, you know, images or videos, you know, reflecting back on these things and reminding ourselves how far we've come, how much we're progressing, and really seeing the difference helps to spur us on to continue on with a healthy lifestyle and the things that we're doing, and work out, you know, what's working and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, any advice going forward for people is to just be curious. If you're saying to yourself, right, I'm, say, just using your example there, Camilla, I'm going on a health kick, is actually diving into that and be like, right, what does that actually mean to me first and foremost? What does that mean to me, and what set of beliefs do I need to have in order to do that? Where are my beliefs right now for me to reach that point, and are they miles apart? You know, questioning, you know, if I'm saying to myself a health kick, then what parts of my life does that include, or should that include? You know, are there other parts of life that I may be neglecting that are fundamentally possibly a little bit more of a priority? And I know that obviously for a lot of us, a health kick is generally because of an aesthetic difference. We want to see an external change, when so often, you know, how I generally more tend to work is, you know, the shift needs to come internally first. Had like one of my girls check in this week, and she's like, oh, I'm still like just battling with herself that she's not seeing a shift on the scales, and she has actually dropped weight, and you can see a difference in her metrics, you see a difference in her pictures. Like, but at the end of the day, we're not here. This isn't the goal that we have set right now. We need to sort out your problems and emotional attachments and behaviors with food. We cannot do that in a caloric deficit. You have to be near maintenance to do that. Until we sort that, there's no chuffing point you doing any kind of cut, because you're just going to be back to square one again. So it's kind of being able to see the bigger picture, and have, you know, for some people, having that accountability and that guidance with it, so we don't just keep reverting back through this like period of yo-yo binging and yo-yo dieting for so many people as well, which again just mentally screws you up with lack of self-confidence, self-belief, because you're constantly mentally falling off that wagon every time.
100%. Yeah, and I think, yeah, following on from that, I would say I guess my top tip is starting small with changes. You know, if you make it too hard for yourself, you're going to resent it, you're going to hate it, you're not going to be able to do it. And that's, you know, with the yo-yo dieting, isn't it? You know, but
too much too soon.
Yeah, exactly. But also the same with trying to add exercise in, or even, you know, walks or steps. You know, build your steps up. I know everyone's got into their steps, you know, during lockdown, which is great. But don't just go, right, oh, 10,000, I've got to do 10,000 if you've done nothing. Because it's going to be too hard for you. And again, that's kind of another stress. But I think at the main thing is to, first of all, again, kind of mentally, who do you identify with? Are you really identified actually with being an unhealthy person, whether that's due to past health issues that you've had, or things that people have said to you, or, you know, really get clear around what you identify with. It doesn't matter at this stage, but at least you know what you're working with, because if you're ignoring that and you're pretending, you know, not to do, you're going to want to protect your identity. So you're always going to revert back to that. You're going to self-sabotage. You're going to basically just not do healthy stuff because you want to keep hold of what you know, and because that's a comfortable spot. It's a comfort zone. And sometimes, you know, it's your like safety blanket really in life. So I definitely look into what you identify with and then build it up slowly to change it in little increments. Slow and steady wins the race.
It does, you know, knowing that you're doing things for the right reasons. And like you say, it's exactly how I work, because I don't expect people to start, you know, sign up with me and be, you know, right, here's your diet plan, and here's like 5-6 days a week of training. It doesn't work like that. It's, you know, we have to kind of have this like bedding in period. It's like basically like the priming phase of getting the body back working properly, the hormones working back properly, and starting to just move a little bit better. You know, it shouldn't just be that, look, here it is, everything dumped on you, you know, going from 0 to 100 straight away, because it's never going to stick. And that's often you know, a lot of the issues, a lot of these, you know, fad diets, these shred diets, it's all, you've got to overhaul your life for, granted a short period of time. But people then try to continue with it longer, and they are not designed to do that, unfortunately. So yes. Mental.
Great point. Bit of a reality check today's session. It's
something that I think I could just I could carry on with, but I'll end up ranting and swearing and everything. I'm like, just stay cool, stay calm. But yeah. I'm very passionate about this one. It's my thing.
Good. Cool. So if anybody's got any questions, then please do let us know. I missed a comment from Jo, who said she's loving the purple hair. Thank you so much. And agree with your point about abs not being the goal necessarily, e.g. all bodies are different. That's what you were saying, Sam, weren't you?
Yeah.
And that's it. It's individuality. It drives me mad, social media, with just because it prompts us to compare ourselves and then actively to be like someone else, and because it's so visual, Instagram in particular, that's all we're kind of going by, you know. That's all we kind of have to aim for, which is like I always say, stop focusing outside, focus inside. And, you know, track your own progress, create your own photos, compete with yourself. Don't compete with other people, because everyone's individual, unique.
Yeah, it's like seeing people's successes as well, when people feel the need to obviously materialistically show constantly what they're achieving. And it always begs the question, like, are they actually happy, or are they doing it for other reasons? And then obviously the spark knock-on effect to that is how that makes other people fundamentally feel. And I've got rid of a lot of people that are constantly all about the materialistic bullshit. It serves me no purpose. For me, that's not fulfillment. And for them, if that's them, then that's fine. You know, go and do you and be happy. But I think sometimes in social media, for some accounts, it's so driven towards that in all their posts. So it's like, you just got to get rid of that toxic shit in your life, haven't you, really, sometimes? So yeah, it doesn't help.
Yeah, and you'll never know if they're feeling good about it or whatever. And you know, even if they say that they are, regardless, if it works for them, it won't necessarily work for you. So tune into yourself and listen to what your body's telling you, how you're feeling.
Yeah, so true.
Super. Okay, so we are running over time, although I was messing up the first round of videos. But so you're having a tech day. We were chatting earlier. It's just not. Yeah, it's just not the one.
Yeah. No.
Tech's for Paddy today.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this is a penultimate episode of Brunch Live, which I'm loving our chats, and I love doing these and chatting with you guys and the conversations that go on afterwards. So we will be back. We will be back with in some form, series 2 of some description that Sam and I yet need to work out how that's going to roll out. But we like to end on an even number, because we can't end on 9 episodes. It just doesn't work. So we've got a 10th episode, and it's going to be more of a lunch live because it's at 1 p.m. And it's going to be on Monday. And it is The Great Escape. And the idea is that we are going to walk you through some of the things that will help you escape from lockdown, and not have, you know, your carefully kind of crafted routines, or basically everything kind of fall to shit, which can very easily happen. And to be honest with you, it kind of happened to me the first time around as well. It's going to be a lot of stress of coming to be places or meet people that what kind of wasn't there before, and that can wreak havoc with our routines and things like that. So we're just going to have a bit of a chat around that, and that's going to be happening on Monday. So I really hope you will join us at 1 p.m. over on here, Instagram Live. Do you want to add anything, Sam?
No, I'm looking forward to what we come together for Monday. And thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for attending today. We are really appreciative, and thank you for commenting.
Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.